Okay, we're in Bible, right?
You're
I,
live.
I'm a new guy here. Bienvenidos, señores y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup, breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. So, with the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, Major League Baseball playoffs, NHL, NBA to political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet online, the game starts here. Bienvenidos, sangrones. Estamos en vivo en la carne asada. So I see we got some comments coming in very quickly. But look, as usual, joining us on the show is Carlos the Gambler. Alyssa is on the show tonight, and then we got Babyface. So let's get right into it. Look, guys, it's Game 5. Uh, I saw what you guys were talking about earlier. So, Alyssa, we're going to go to the ladies' line first. We're going to start off with the ladies' line. Now that you've had some time for the excitement of game 4 to wear off, are you nervous about game 5, or are you confident that the Dodgers have figured something out?
Oh, I'm always nervous every game. I think it like once I settle, it just comes right back. Especially when you're in an office full of Dodger fans. So you're just it's always being talked about. It's always being brought up whether who's starting, who's not, who do you want in the lineup. So it's just and not knowing of who's going to be on the mound. Just I'm nervous.
Carlos the Gambler, I know you've been feeling yourself. You are like the most positive Dodger fan out there. No pasa nada. There's a comment here from the Los Dodgers World Series, and I want to read it real quick. He is a bit worried since the Padres got a good look at our pen. I'm still confident this team will win and advance. Just want your input on that. I will say this, Los Dodgers. I don't know, Carlos, if you heard this comment from Jackson Merrill, but he does not like the fact that there are bullpen games and the fact that you have to prepare for a different pitcher every time you go up to at bat. He's not a fan of that. And that is something that I actually really didn't put that much thought into. And we're going to get into it when we talk about this whole bullpen game versus starter. But the fact that these guys don't know who to prepare for, is that actually something that favors the Dodgers?
Definitely. It's an advantage for the Dodgers. Jackson Merrill's saying that because obviously he was 0 for 4 yesterday. And he's right. I'm not even trying to, put him down. I'm just saying it is hard. It's hard. Like next inning, who's going to come in? I mean, they're going to have to look down at the bullpen, see who's warming up, and then start looking at videos and see what kind of information they can gather before they go into the box. But yeah, you know what? Like I was telling you guys earlier, the best starting pitcher we've had this series is TBD. He's a great pitcher. TBD's been the best pitcher. So I like, you know, I we had said it wasn't just me. I'm sure it was Cody, it was Roger, it was you. We all said Game 4 is probably going to be a bullpen game, and Game 5, if Game 4 worked out really well for the Dodgers, why not? I'm not worried that they've seen the Dodgers. They've seen all the bullpen. They've seen all our pieces. I mean, the guy they haven't seen the most is probably Kopech. But they've seen Phillips a lot. They've seen Trinan a lot. They've seen Vesia a lot. I mean, these guys. It's just our pitchers executed yesterday, and I feel confident. Now, I feel confident also because of the press conference we watched yesterday that were uploaded on the site with Will Smith and Mookie Betts being interviewed. Man, those guys are like stone cold. They're not even smiling. They're serious. I mean, they're focused. So I feel confident in the team. If I had any worries, it would be you, Darvish. What is he going to look like tomorrow? Is he going to look like Sunday, you, Darvish? Or is he going to look like 2017 World Series against the freaking Astros, you, Darvish? Because if he looks like that, then then the game's in our, and we got the game. So which one is going to show up? Which you is going to be present at Dodger Stadium on Friday?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it, right? He's due for a bad start against the Dodgers, or he's just going to do what he always does against the Doyers, because for some reason, Darvish is just a different pitcher. He has success against the Doyers. The rest of the National League, he does not have that same success. So you hope that the Dodgers maybe picked up something from the first time that they faced him, because look, I was there. He was going. I mean, he had like what? I think he had maybe 70 pitches going into that seventh inning. I mean, the Doyers weren't making him work. So that's going to lead us to Babyface. I know you were talking about this. I know you heard a lot of this. All of a sudden, Doyer fans were really worried about a bullpen game in Game 4. They saw the success of the bullpen game in Game 4, and now everybody goes, just pitch the bullpen again. Look, is that not tempting fate? When you sit there and you go, just because one bullpen game worked, here comes another one?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it makes me a little nervous. I mean, yeah, it worked, and you're kind of like, well, if it ain't broken, why are you going to fix it right and give it a shot again and go for it again? But, I mean, we know how it is with a bullpen game. You know, the bullpen, if one guy goes, I mean, last night was perfect, right? Dave Roberts managed that perfectly, and it went just perfect. Now, if one guy goes off, and he kind of messes up that whole rhythm, it messes it up for the entire bullpen, right? You know, one guy has to go extra pitches, whatever it is, right? So that's what makes me nervous. But I think we're kind of discussing today, it might not be an exact like full, 9 innings of bullpen. Maybe they'll start a couple innings, then they'll bring in, either Yamamoto or Jack, right, to get a bulk of those guys, bulk of those innings, and then kind of finish it off with the bullpen.
Matty Man 5 coming in. We thank you very much, sir, with your super chat. We got a $5 super chat from Matty Man saying, give us an opener. Don't care who, but please do not start Yamamoto. If he has to pitch, give him 7 to 9 in the 6th inning. Give him 7 through 9 in the 6th inning. Alyssa, I mean, that's the big question right now. Who are the Dodgers going to start? I want to hear from you. Would you go Yamamoto? Would you go Flaherty? The thing that I've heard is the opener. Go with the opener, right? I don't know how Yamamoto seems to be a creature of habit. He is in routine. What would Yamamoto look like coming in the 2nd inning? Alyssa, what would you do?
I don't know. I kind of got Cody and Carlos on me yesterday for saying that I would start Yamamoto. I've heard different things like discussing with both. I say one crazy idea was throw both in there, which probably won't happen. But I'm just saying maybe have him come in later in the innings. I think with Yamamoto, he's notoriously known for having a bad first inning, and I think you can't start a game like that. You can't start a game with the Padres taking the lead because we've seen how that's gone. We've had one comeback, but we've also had it where they've put the Dodgers in the grave and kind of just left them there. So I think tomorrow Carlos and Cody were right. I'm going to say it, but I would go Flaherty, starting him on.
Alyssa, don't change your mind. Stick to your guns. Don't let these guys do this to you.
I'm going off stats. I get what they meant, but at the same time, like I said, I would bring Yamamoto in regardless because his energy, I love it. I am a Yamamoto fan. I'm not saying I'm not a Flaherty fan, but I'm just saying Yamamoto in key moments, you see that intensity with him, and I think I want to see that tomorrow.
Stick to your gut, Alyssa. Stick to your gut. Carlos the Gambler, look, it's not that I have faith in Yamamoto because I don't know if he's not healthy. I don't know if it's just the Padres have his number, that the Padres see him really well. I have the same fear that Alyssa has, which is you put him out there and they drop 5 runs on you. We saw what happened in Game 7 of the World Series once you drop that many runs. Look, for me, Carlos doesn't. I mean, Roberts has to have a quick hook, right? Now, if Yamamoto goes out there and they're hitting the ball hard on him, I think you got to get somebody up in the bullpen immediately. All right, I think you have to have a quick hook. But if Yamamoto is like maybe there's a bloop single there or stuff like that, it's the eye test. For me, I am begging them, please use your eyes. don't rely on your stat sheet. Something that I don't know who said. I don't know if it was Carlos said it or Babyface said it. The thing that concerns me, and we're gonna get into the worries for Game 5. Everything went perfect for the Doyers in Game 4. Perfect. I had this guy come in this inning, this guy come in this inning, and that. Okay. When everything goes perfect, it's really easy to manage a game. It's when things go left, that's when you show what kind of manager you are. So if things go left in the first inning for the Doyers, because the show pods seem to jump on the Doyers in the first inning almost in every single game, how would you handle that first inning, Carlos?
Yeah, look, if we want to hide Yamamoto because we know he's notoriously bad in the first inning, if you put him in the second, it's still his first inning. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. It says second inning. If you put him, Matty Man says put him in the seventh, it's still his first inning. It's something to do with him getting to the rhythm of the game and psychologically, physically, everything. That's what I see. And that's why I say don't pitch him tomorrow. Save him for hopefully the Mets on Sunday. Look, in the real world, if the guy you chose has a 6.75 ERA against a team that he already faced, and you're like, well, that's horrible. Well, you know what your other option is? A 15.00 ERA. So you're going to go with your first option. Look, I think Flaherty goes 3 innings. I think this is the plan. Go 3 innings, and then right there start warming up the bullpen. And if any signs of like I guess a threat that the Padres are putting on the team, switch them and then go the course of the rest of the game bullpen just like we did on yesterday. That would be my plan. Yeah, first inning for Yamamoto is a no. Second inning is a no. Seventh inning is a no. It's just give him. The Padres do have his number, and I don't know what the stat is for the whole season, but I just wouldn't put in that prediction. And so Flaherty, watch tomorrow morning. I hope I'm right. Tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon when we find out who the starter is, it's not going to be TBD anymore. It's going to be Flaherty.
Look, Babyface, come in here because after that first start, didn't the Dodgers say, oh, they were worried that Yamamoto was tipping his pitches? Is that something that can be fixed from one start to another? Everything everybody's telling me, I agree with Carlos. I kind of don't want to see Yamamoto at this point. Let's go with Flaherty. And if anybody gets any sign, what I don't want to see is a repeat of Game 7. Of the World Series in 2017. I don't want the Dodgers to be reactive. I want the Dodgers to be aggressive. I want the Dodgers to dictate terms because, I feel like when the show pods win, that's what they're doing. They're dictating terms to the Dodgers. I want to see the table, the roles reversed there. But I mean, are you comfortable with Yamamoto, and how quick of a trigger do you have in that first inning if you see the show pods jumping on the Doyers again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure that we're going to see Yamamoto. I mean, it like everything you guys made sense. It makes sense, right? He's been hit hard from the Padres all season, right? From the game in Korea, the end of the start at Dodger Stadium, and then in the playoffs. So it does make sense kind of just to hold him back for a potential, Game 1 of NLCS. So that's why I don't think you're going to see, both him and Flaherty in the same game, right? And then, I mean, there's even been talk of holding both of them back and just, again, going straight bullpen to potentially have, these two for Game 1 and 2 of, NLCS. But I don't think they can think that way. They got to use one of them and might as well just hold Yamamoto back, for potentially, now he sees a completely different team, a team that I don't believe he didn't face them, right? When they went to New York, I think he was already hurt. So he only faced the Yankees. So they've never seen him. And if he's been tipping pitches, I believe, they can fix that because he had that issue earlier in the season. Plus the Mets aren't going to know what's coming with him. So I think it's an advantage to pitch him against the Mets. They probably have a better advantage that way if they get there. So, no Yamamoto for tomorrow. Just go with Flaherty.
Look, the other thing to look at in terms of like their due, Alyssa, the bullpen has been fantastic this whole series. The low leverage guys that came in Game 2 in mop up time. Look, those aren't guys that if you see those guys in Game 5 tomorrow, then something has horribly gone wrong. But the bullpen has been the high leverage guys, the guys that this team depends on. They have been great. Now, Are we waiting for the other shoe to drop? Eventually, I mean, they can't be perfect all the time. I mean, for me, it seems like that is their position of strength in this series, and the starters are weakness. Alyssa, I know that Flaherty has had experience coming in out of the bullpen, but in this case, would you do an opener and then bring in Flaherty? Because now you guys have convinced me we got to stay away from Yamamoto. Is the way to go with an opener, bring in Flaherty, see how many innings he can eat up, so then you have those high leverage guys for the end of the game, and then you can play matchups at that point.
Well, you just told me to stick to my gut. Now you're telling me you're going with Flaherty too.
Well, you changed your mind at the beginning of the show. You went from Yamamoto. You totally bailed on Yamamoto.
I'm holding you accountable too.
I'm asking the questions. I
just had to reverse it. I just had to reverse it real quick. No, I think, but back to your question, I think with an opener and then bringing in Flaherty, like you said, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I hate to be that negative person. I love staying positive during the games.
Yeah, it's not negativity. It's realism. On this show, for some reason, if you call it the way it is, you're a hater. You're negative.
No.
You say what you want. I will not censor you, Alyssa.
Oh, thank goodness. No, but I truly think like this bullpen has been so good. But we also saw it in the season too. They did have their struggles. They did have a small period of time where we were all kind of like, I think everyone jumped on the Vesia hate train even at one point. And I was like, he's actually doing well. He had 1 or 2 bad games. Like the game is a constant game of failure. So it just depends. Like tomorrow we just got to bring all of everything that we've got. Everything has to be put on the table. I wouldn't be opposed to having an opener and then bringing Flaherty in, only because of that kind of energy it's going to bring to the team. Because then we know like, okay, this is it. It's win or go home. Have every guy you can on that roster be available, and I think every player is ready to step up. I don't think it's going to turn bad. I hope, but at the same time, it's not just on the bullpen, and I know we're going to get into it, but it's also on the defense. We've seen time and time again with our pitching being so good and defense failing us. So it just depends if everyone's cards are aligned in this case.
You know, Chris brings up a point, Carlos the Gambler.
Real quick one. So Cody corrected me, said he actually did pitch against the Mets early in the season. He took the L. So it makes me a little nervous, but it was very early. I think it was in April. So.
Well, Chris brought up an interesting point, and Carlos, I want to go to you on this. And so Chris says, I don't want to see Freeman and Rojas on the field. They're hurt. I get, look, we're not going to see Rojas. I get what you're saying about Freeman, but here's the thing, Chris. Freeman to me can still hit. He can still hit. But you bring up a very interesting scenario for me, because until we saw it in Game 4, I kept asking myself, where is Kike? Kike is one of your biggest playoff, like that guy. He may not do anything during the regular season or until you give him a pair of glasses, but in the playoffs, that dude is nails. And if you can't find a spot for him to play in the game, then why do you have him on the roster? So for me, in Game 5, you got to find a way to have Kike on that field. Now, if Freeman is going to play, and it looks like it's happening, there's no way Freeman is probably, their argument was, you know, they didn't want him playing back-to-back. But if Freeman plays, then I say Kike's got to be your center fielder. Carlos, where are you going?
Yeah, we mentioned that yesterday. You know, I got to see Dennis. You mentioned Chris. I mean, yeah, definitely. I like Freeman. I want him to play. I don't want him to be, you know, or try to do an impersonation of Kurt Gibson at the end of the game with the game on the line and coming all hobbled to the plate. I don't want that. I want him to play and then get out if he can't, you know, if he can't keep playing. But Edman at shortstop, I guess Muncy at third, and then put Kike Hernandez has to play center field. No Taylor, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen after Taylor's performance yesterday. I don't see Taylor playing at all. Not even a pinch hitter, maybe defensive purposes.
What about Andy Pajes?
You know, unfortunately, Andy Pajes, because he's a rookie. I mean, we did say that he had a great at bat in that one. I think it was 2 games ago in game number 3, where he had like a 9 pitch at bat and he did strike out. But No, right now Hernandez, he's got the experience. He's got that, that ice in his veins, and he has performed in the playoffs, and we all know it. Everybody in the chat keeps bringing it up. So let's play him. Let's play. I keep saying let's play the hot hands. Let's stop playing these matchups. Look at Lux yesterday. He did a home run off a lefty, right? He never plays. He never bats against lefties, but he's been playing because he's been hitting well. He's one of the top hitters in this series. So throw out those books, throw out the statistics, throw out all the analytics. Let's just play some baseball and let's play the hot hands. And right now, Kiki's a hot hand. Play him at center field. Freeman, when he's sort of healthy, he's our best first base hitter. And then Muncy, hopefully he can drive one. He had a good game yesterday too. So so my pick is Freeman first base, Kike center field, and Edmund stays at short. No Miggy Rojas.
Babyface. I don't know if he risks, but Chris, you bring up a very interesting point. There was a ball hit to Muncy in Game 4 that if it was hit to Freeman, I don't know if Freeman makes it to first base in time to get the out. So I totally get what you're saying in terms of a defensive liability. But the thing is Freddie Freeman is a hitting machine. And you're facing Darvish, and my biggest concern, especially with this offense, is they find ways to disappear, and they have to score runs tomorrow. They have to score runs, and because if they fall behind early, I can see every butt cheek tightening up in that dugout. Because look, these people are human beings, right? It's psychological. Everybody was making such a big deal of when Mookie in San Diego hit that ball and Profar almost robbed him again. He automatically put his head down and started walking into the dugout. He automatically thought that Profar had caught it. So that's kind of my fear, is what happens when things start going wrong, because every time the Dodgers lose in the playoffs, what did the beat writers always tell us, babyface? Things speed up on this team. So is this crazy, babyface? Do you keep Freeman on the bench and use his bat late in the game, or do you risk sending a sign to the rest of the team if you put Freddie on that bench? And the team's going to be like, what are you doing, man? This is Game 5. We need our best people on the field.
No, I think you start Freeman. The team, Doc talked about it, how that's kind of fueling the team as well. They're seeing what Freddie is going through, and he's making it known, I want to be out there. Unless it's like physically impossible, basically, for him to be out there, he's out there. We've seen what he's been doing, right? The stolen base, even where he had to jump up and he kind of tweaked his ankle again. I think him having him that playing time tomorrow, starting the game, I think it shows more for the guys on the team that we're going for it. And I think it's an advantage too, having them in there. Like you said, he's a pure hitter. Having him see Darvish a couple of times around, we should get a couple of hits. But going back to Kike Hernandez being in the lineup as well, I think he's made for these moments, and I think I see him doing something tomorrow, knocking in a couple runs or a home run tomorrow. I think he's going to come up big if he's in that lineup, and I don't believe Rojas will be in there, and I think Kike gets that spot in center field.
Morkatna came in real hot, and perfect segue for me. Extend Dave Roberts for 10 years. Look, aside from the pitching decision, whatever way they decide to go, if they're going to go with a starter, if they're going to use the bullpen, outside of that, you can probably say the offense is a concern. But for me, one of the biggest concerns in that Game 5 is what Dave Roberts is going to do in that dugout. Like I said, when everything goes to plan, he's great. And this is in any sport. In football, you have the first 25 plays already lined up. And if you run those 25 plays and they all work, you're a genius, right? My concern is, because I expect a really tight game tomorrow, what happens when you have to make a decision outside of the script? I don't want to see them. One of the things that drove me crazy, and I know you talked about this, Carlos the Gambler, was in that Game 3, on that play with Machado when Freeman threw it and hit Machado and it looked like he was out of the baseline. I get it. You can't challenge that. If you looked at the replays, the second base umpire wasn't even looking at the runner, right? But for me, what I at least expected, and I know, Carlos, you said this, was for Roberts to go out there and talk to the umpire. Get to that. Even if you don't get the play, reversed, what it does is it stops the momentum. It slows everything down. And instead, it looked like Roberts was just sitting there in the dugout, shell-shocked. And that is my concern, is if something happens in Game 5, please don't be shell-shocked, Dave. You got to ponte los pantalones, and you got to make a decision, and you got to make it quick. Again, I don't want to see them be reactive. If a freaking alien comes out of Darvish's head, I want you to act like you expected that to happen. I don't want to see this team again. Everything speeds up on them, and everybody in the dugout is just looking at each other, going, "What do we do?" Alyssa, do you have any concerns with Dave Roberts in that game on Friday?
I think Dave just likes to be more animated when we don't need him to be more animated. I know there's been a couple games in the past where he's kind of got under like people's skin, especially going at umpires, like, what are you calling? What is this? And honestly, I think Kershaw catches more than Dave Roberts has, but I think I'm worried about him just waiting too long. Just like you said, him being complacent with it. And I don't think he's going to be like that tomorrow. I've seen interviews where he's like, nope, we're ready. We're going to go at this. Like, it's another game. Job's not over. Job's not done. Like, but at the same time, in those moments, I'm praying that he doesn't like just stop and just watch the play. Like you said, I expected him to be out there arguing with the umpire, but we didn't see it. So I'm hoping he learned from that. But then again, Dave Roberts is either really, really quiet or Dave Roberts is really, really loud. You don't know which one you're going to get.
Carlos, you are the most positive person on this show. No pasa nada. The Dodgers are going to win by 15 on Friday. Is this much ado about nothing, and it's really just about the pitching and the hitting? Roberts isn't really going to play a factor in this.
No, he definitely plays a factor. Like I had mentioned before, in that situation with the Manny play, it's about going out there and slowing down the game, getting your team to recompose themselves, because Miggy had pointed to that play, calm him down, because what's the next play? The next play is a ball hit to Miggy, and either Miggy overreacts because of the previous play. I don't know. This is my thought. So before you guys butcher me on the comments, I don't know what's in his head, but I'm just saying, what a coincidence that Miggy's the only one that calls out that play, and then the next ball gets hit right to him, and instead of getting the force out and getting the one out, he tries to do too much and tries to get the double play. So maybe if Robert goes out there, calms everybody down, calms Buehler down, calms Miggy down, and maybe there's a different outcome. I mean, we won't know, we won't ever know, but that's just, that's where Roberts, I've always said that's where I don't like Roberts. Roberts reminds me, and maybe, I don't know who's gonna get this reference, maybe Juan will and Roger. Remember in Waterboy? Remember Henry Winkler, the coach? And every time he gets under pressure, and he goes into a dugout, and I don't know if you guys get it, but Juan obviously gets it.
I get it.
Carlos, are you saying I'm not, like, I don't get Waterboy? Like, what the heck?
Wow.
Yeah, okay, my bad.
Hey, this is your initiation, Alyssa. When you come on this show, you catch strays, so you got to be ready. So you're
young. You're young. I thought you didn't see it. Yeah, but anyway, that's what I think of sometimes of Roberts. I see him as that Henry Winkler character coach.
All right. Babyface, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I lost you there for a minute. Look, there's a lot of factors, right? I don't think it's going to come down to one thing, right? I think it's a lot, because there was somebody in the chat that said, look, I think it was you, Chris, who said, look, let's be honest. Dave's not the one making all these calls. And I get it. And this is why I refer to the fact that there is a script, and this is what we're going to go ahead and do. But in moments like that, I do think it is on Dave. Like, Dave needs to run out of that dugout and at least have a conversation with the first base umpire and say, what did you see? Like I said, I don't expect that call was not going to get overturned. Now, you may have maybe made an argument in terms of the fact that it was a force play. So there was no need to do a tag. So I know the rule applies that only if you're trying to make a tag, but it was a force play. Like I said, I don't think you're going to get, because the second base umpire wasn't even looking. The second base umpire was just staring at second base. So, but that's what I'm talking about. When you feel the momentum is changing, I don't think the Phil Jackson strategy is going to work. Even if you watched Phil Jackson in the playoffs, he was different in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. In the regular season, he would just sit there, twiddling his thumbs saying, you guys figure it out. But when the playoffs came around, Phil Jackson was very quick to call a timeout. So I want to see that from Roberts. But again, babyface, am I just asking too much? This is not who Dave Roberts is. So we can't expect him to be somebody that is just not in his nature.
I mean, I think he's going to do certain things different. I mean, if we notice, I mean, maybe he's not the one that's going to run out there, like you said, and challenge that play. I mean, it depends on the situation. But as far as other things like the game management, the bullpen, like yesterday from the beginning of the game, there was somebody already warming up. So, if that first inning would have started going sideways, he had backup. So I think he's starting to do these little different things that he knows, hey, I don't have time to mess around. We got to do this like this now. So I think, continue to do stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, I do agree, if for whatever reason, like in that game, right, it just started going sideways and it just seemed like, I mean, I was even watching the game and everything was just like, what the hell is going on, right? You need that little break to get back, okay, like, and kind of pull everything back in, and we saw Walker Buehler, once that inning was over, he went in that dugout and he threw his glove, he picked up, I don't know, like a thing of water and just started, so he was pissed off with what was going on. And I think he could have used that break also, right? Even if, they would have just came out and talked to him and kind of just settle him down a little bit. So, things like that. But I think we are seeing Roberts manage with urgency. And I think even now tomorrow in Game 5, I think it's going to be even more.
Yes. Now, in the end, after we talked about, the pitching is a big decision, what Roberts is going to do. Alyssa, is this just me just trying to ignore the fact that really it just comes down to hitting? It comes down to the superstars. It comes down to if Shohei's going to deliver with runners in scoring position. Has Mookie figured something out? Is Mookie going to continue like this? I heard a scenario this morning on ESPN 710. Now, I want to give credit to Travis Rogers for saying this. Now, he was just throwing this out there, so I'm going to throw it out to you, Alyssa, because I know some people in the chat were saying just keep the lineup the way it is. Because Shohei is on a tear in regards to hitting with runners in scoring position, would you drop Shohei to the 2 spot and move Mookie up to the leadoff spot in Game 5?
No. If that's the change, no, I wouldn't. I would keep that exactly the same. I think that combo has worked since Mookie has came back from his injury. I think you can't mess with that top of the lineup because regardless, something's going to happen. Something good is going to come out of it. If we're talking lineups and hitting, I just think it's that middle of the lineup if we're going to see if they're going to show up or not. Like, we didn't see Muncy or Smith do something until yesterday. And so just to see them starting to get hot, that's what I'm more excited to see. Mookie, I think I even saw on ESPN earlier last night, Big Papi was talking about it, talking to him, interviewing him, saying, like, I was texting you, I was calling you, just have fun, just do this, because it's hard when you go 0 for 22, and that stat is just in your face constantly. But I think Mookie even said, like, I had to shut off social media because it was just a constant reminder of it. So I think tomorrow that lineup is going to be a little different with Freddie in it, but it's not going to be a bad different. I think with Kike in the lineup, I even predicted yesterday, I think I said he's going to go 3 for 5, hopefully, or maybe 3 for 4. I want that. I just want Kike to show, I'm not calling out Roberts directly, but show that coaching staff that he should have been in the lineup this season and last season, because last season we didn't see Kike at all. And this season just shows what he could have done last season compared to this season. So,
Carlos the Gambler, I want to ask you something here because she mentioned something about that Mookie had shut off his social media. Is it concerning to you how many Dodger players have rabbit ears? Like I don't know if this is true because I saw this shared all over social media, and that was Miguel Rojas going back at that fan, saying, "I don't think that's a good look." Anytime a professional athlete goes after a fan, I don't think that's a good look. It's like, bro, you can't, if you're gonna let this guy who you don't even know who he is get to you, what's gonna happen in the game? So and it bothered me when Mookie told Dave Vassay earlier that it's like, look, I'm out here trying, I'm swinging 400 times a day. It's just like, guys, who cares what we think? We are emotional basket cases. 1 minute, we're going to tell you the Dodgers are the worst team in the history of the world. And the next minute, you're going to say, without a doubt, I knew they were going to win. I knew they were going to win. That's why we're fans. And you guys are where you are. You guys are major leaguers. Carlos, is it concerning to you that these Dodger players have rabbit ears and are so aware of what is being said about them online?
I wouldn't say it's concerning. I mean, it's totally a different era, it's so hard for these players, and just in general, people, to stay off your phone. I mean, can you imagine, Juan, one day without your phone? You can't text anybody, you can't look at Instagram, you can't look at Facebook or whatever you're on, Well, this is the same thing, no
I did that
TikTok.
and I was much happier. I was much happier, Carlos. I'll tell you
I,
that.
no, I bet, but my point being is that it's almost like it's almost impossible now, Okay, one day, can you imagine a whole week, a whole series? The series started last Saturday, so a whole week, just not look at your phone. Yeah, it's tough, and it's like, I'm sure they're like, oh, should I look? Should I open this? Oh man, look what they're saying here. I mean, they're probably not even looking, but it probably pops up because Mookie Betts is 0 for 23 in the last two postseasons. Yeah, it's I think it's hard to avoid it. I think how they deal with it. I mean, there's definitely should be some professionalism in, but also it's kind of bittersweet in the sense that we are doing these podcasts, and can you imagine if like Roberts is sitting down watching this and saying, "Oh, look at this fucker telling me I'm like that guy from the movie," Can you imagine that? I would be like, "That's cool, I'll take it," But
that's a dream of
hopefully
mine.
they're not. Hopefully they're not doing that. But I don't, like I said, I see that it's not good, but at the same time, maybe that helps them let out that frustration, because I know that we had seen something today about Lux, right? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it because I don't know if that's true, but it just seems stuff like that. Like, was the Miguel Rojas one even true? Was that confirmed? Because I went looking
back,
on
it
his
was
social
gone.
media and I didn't find it. So, I mean, Babyface, what are you concerned that these guys are instead of fighting against the show pods, they're fighting with people, behind keyboards?
Yeah, these guys look at their phones all the time. You walk into the clubhouse, right? When the clubhouse open, what are they doing? They're usually looking at their phone. They're doing stuff. So, they're on their phone as well, just like everybody else. But I don't know. Maybe some of these guys also use that as fuel. They see, oh, okay, yeah, you're saying this. Oh, okay, you're saying this. Okay, I'll show you, right? I mean, I don't know if maybe that motivates some guys. Maybe it doesn't. Some guys, like Mookie said, you know what? I just had to shut that off. Now I'm not going to look at it. So to each their own, right? Some guys may want to look at it, kind of help them just to motivate them. But if you got so many people talking about you, even if they weren't on social media, they're going to hear it, right? They turn on the TV, right? Everywhere you turn on FS1, right? At the beginning of the game, Carlos talking about this. First graphic they put up, Mookie Betts is over, 22 in the last couple of postseasons. So it's everywhere. And, these guys, like you said, these guys are professional athletes. They're going to find a way to battle through it and figure something out.
Okay, that all being said, I got to tell you guys, tengo miedo. Tengo miedo for Friday. I'm not going to lie. Tengo miedo because I called it. I told my daughter after they lost a game 3, I said, they're going to win game 4. And then they're going to do the most Dodger thing ever, because this is how they torment me for my whole life, is they're going to get me to believe. They're going to get me to believe the banana in the tailpipe. They got me. Carlos, I had a banana the other day, and I'm like, they're going to do it. And look, I'm going to take it, right? I picked the show pilots. I was the only dumbass on this show, anybody affiliated with this show. I was the only one that said the show pods were going to win. I want to be proven wrong. I want to be able to come after game 5 and say, hey, you know what? They did it. They proved me wrong. Thank goodness they proved me wrong. But you, Darvish, I don't know. My wife leaned over to me and she said, does Shohei struggle against you, Darvish? Because he just does not look comfortable when he faces Darvish in the batter's box. Do any of you guys have the numbers for Shohei versus you, Darvish? And by the way, Dennis, you're absolutely thank you for catching that reference, my friend. It's all about, and Matty Man, I really appreciate that you guys get the banana in the tailpipe. All right, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. It's a thing, and I'm glad that you guys realize how it's being used, because sometimes people don't use it correctly. Do we know any? Are you still looking, Babyface? If not, I'll go ahead and keep. Do you have it?
The ones that showed the shows, he was 1 for 5 in his career. I don't know if that's and then you include the and then you include the playoff game.
The sample size is too small, but look, Alyssa, I know you are honest with your feelings. So how are you going to prepare for that game 5 tomorrow?
Probably I'm actually gonna stay off social media. Actually, that's probably a lie. No, I don't know. I think I'm very superstitious. You could call me out on it. I'm gonna do the same things I did yesterday. I'm gonna come to work. I'm just gonna stay calm. Probably talk about it with my coworkers because we did it all the time. But I'm very superstitious, so I'm gonna have my rally towel with me. I'm gonna be on a flight tomorrow, so I'm gonna have my rally towel with me on the plane, and we're gonna stream it. So hopefully it's the same result. So
okay, so you bring up something that's interesting, the superstition part. So there is something that I've seen that's going around social media. Carlos Gambler, I want your thoughts on this. This whole give the show pods the silent treatment. And so basically don't boo them, don't do anything when they come up to the plate. Like for me, I thought it was hilarious because it's like, oh, look at these guys. These guys think that we somehow impact the game, that we somehow have something to say. But Carlos the Gambler, this whole silent treatment thing, if you were at the game, and I don't know why you're not going anymore. Is it just because you've gotten all the bobbleheads? Is that why you refuse to go to the playoffs? They don't give out bobbleheads anymore. Why aren't you going to games anymore, Carlos?
Well, I decided not to do the playoff strip because, usually every year, you buy it, you got to pay in advance, and then they get out in the first round, and then you got to wait for your refund, and it's like a whole hassle. And I'm like, fuck it, this year if I go, I'll just pay, whatever the price is, and that's why I didn't do it. So I should have done it. I'm regretting it now. It was like only $3,700. So just so you guys know, I shouldn't give the secrets out, but man, the prices that they're charging right now are more than, I think it would be about 6 times the price. If you were a season ticket holder, you would probably get it for about, this year would be like $52 a seat, and it's decent seats. These were reserved to row H, so $52 each. That's what the price actually is per game for this series, not the rest of the series. It goes up as obviously as we move along. But oh my gosh, forgot the question. But oh yeah, no, that silent treatment, screw that. Just boo them. I don't think they're gonna do that. We got to boo the Padres. We Profar is up here. I mean, it's almost like a 3-way tie for the most hated Padre now. I mean, Machado, Tatis, and Profar, they're all together. So no silent treatment. We got to boo them. I was watching the video with the back and forth where Tatis and some fans from behind the dugout were telling him about PD for taking his PEDs, and he's like sticking his tongue out, and then I forget what he was doing. So the Padres love this stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it might work, the silent treatment, but I don't know. I like the booing. I like heckling these guys. I think I think it's when they're winning that it helps. It helps them if you get under their skin. If they're losing, they don't want to hear that shit. So, and like anybody else, when you're losing, you want to just be left alone and focus on the game. But yeah, no, keep harassing this team, Dodger fans.
Mike Lopez coming in with a super chat. Mike, thank you very much. $5. Fans on the lower seats at left field and right field. It is legal to interfere a live play, whether you hit it off a glove of a player or get in his way to disturb a catch. Thank you for that public service announcement, Mike. It's very important. As I was explaining to my wife, I'm just like, any ball that goes into the stands or a player that goes into the stands, it's free. It is free. Anything goes. You just can't reach into the field. So if you are sitting there in left field or in right field and a ball is coming your way, you got to make sure you catch that damn ball. All right. Don't get caught up just looking. You got to catch that ball. Babyface, this whole thing that the show pods feed off of the hate. I think you subscribe to it. It's one of those things like the Great Motion Picture Classic, and I'm talking about like the 1960s one, not the more recent one of Godzilla versus King Kong. One of the things that always pissed me off as a kid was Godzilla was smoking King Kong's ass, and then all of a sudden King Kong gets hit with lightning, and he comes back and he kicks Godzilla's ass, which I thought that was bullshit. But if that's what the show pods are waiting for, they think that the fans are going to go ahead and energize them. This whole strategy of being silent, do you think that's a way to go?
I think they don't pay much attention to that. Yeah, they hear that they're getting booed, but I don't think they really feed into it and kind of it energizes them. What's going to affect them is Dodgers put up a cricket number on the board in one inning, again another inning. If you looked at them, I think it was a picture of Tatis. After I saw one comparing him where he was sticking his tongue out, and then at the end of the game he was just sitting on the bench, all sad. So I think that's what's going to affect them, right? You go out there, you score, you put runs on the board, nothing else matters, right? Booing, cheering, silent treatment, whatever. Just score some runs, and that's how you're going to silence them.
You know what, Babyface? You bring up a very interesting point, because I don't know if the show pods have been tested in this series. Like for me, the Dodgers, when they were down 6-1, they showed a lot of fight. They could have very easily rolled over in that game and said, hey, you know what? We'll get them the next game. And they came back and they made a game out of that. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alyssa. Have we seen that from the show pods in this series?
I'm sorry, repeat that. I got a little bit cut off. I'm so sorry.
You were excited about my Godzilla versus King Kong.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right? And by the way, Dennis, I'm totally with you, Team Godzilla. I was so pissed when I watched that movie as a kid. And there's two versions, if anybody doesn't know this, I guess. There's a Japanese version and there's an American version. And there's this myth that in the American version, King Kong wins, but the Japanese version, Godzilla wins. I was so mad because I saw the version where King Kong pops out of the water at the end. So it's implied that King Kong wins. It's like Hogan versus Savage. It's Hogan versus Savage all over again. But Frank just hit us with a super chat. Big thank you to Frank over here. Stop doing the wave when we aren't blowing out the opponent, please. Don't distract our pitcher with that weak shit either. All right. We got another super chat coming in of $1.99 from, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Doyer fans are F Cholos with ankle monitor displacers. Now, why did you have to do that? I mean, we're not all Cholos.
Hey, if he wants to give us money, and throw that comment in, hey, go ahead, right?
Look, we're not all Cholos. I will tell you this. The minute the Doyers won last night, my daughter went online and was like, I want to sit in the left field pavilion. And so, yes, we are the left field pavilion locos, but that doesn't make us Cholos. All right, back to you, Alyssa. Dennis, thank you very much with the savage love. All right, so what I was saying to you again was, now I forgot my question. I got too caught up in this. But do you feel that the show pods have been tested in this series? So if the show pods let's say the Dodgers jump on the show pods in game 5. Is there anything that you've seen in this series that shows that maybe the show pods won't tighten up? Because like Babyface said, in that game 4, once the Dodgers started building on that lead, they looked around in that dugout like they were just kind of like, all right, let's just get them in game 5.
No, yeah, I think even in game 1, like we were saying, it's just more of like, okay, it's the next one. We'll get the next one. We'll get the next one. Where tomorrow there is no next one. So I'm interested to see, because then we saw game 2, they're ahead, and they were ridiculous. I'm sorry, they were, and it like kind of pissed me off a little bit. Like as a fan, I was like, I don't want to see that. Like I don't want to see a guy sticking his tongue at me. But it's also that professionalism. I think tomorrow that may happen. They may try to bring that energy being down, but at the same time, the Dodgers are just going to look at him like, you just look kind of dumb, dude. Like, we're here to play baseball, not to interact with the fans here. Like, obviously, everyone loves their fans, but I think that's what separates the Dodgers and the Padres. That's why I'm going for full in with the Dodgers. I'm not too worried about that, because the Dodgers don't care about outside noises during the game. They shut that all off. You see the focus in them compared to the Padres, them feeding off that energy, them feeding off the booing, them feeding off their own crowd. That's going to be the decider for them, compared to the Dodgers are like, no, what's the game playing out for us? That's going to be the decider for us.
Did you see the video of Tatis, Alyssa, when he was in right field and he was pretending he was like Rick Rude or something like that?
No, he thought he was Shawn Michaels, dude. He was pulling a Shawn Michaels. He was pulling a Shawn Michaels.
I'm sorry. That man gets under my skin. Like, even yesterday when he fell on the ground, I was like, are we okay? Like, he almost gave himself a concussion, hitting his head on the ground.
He's trying to bring flopping to MLB, taking it from NBA, bring it to MLB.
But what does it do?
Look, like, guys, but be honest. You know, he took one. I know it wasn't close to his head or anything, but it was high and tight. And then the next at bat, he hit a double, almost a home run. That, be honest with yourself, that feels really good. That feels really good to have somebody come in high and tight on you, and then the next at bat, you smoke one off of them. I want to give a shout out to Chris Frosaker, because he is a truth teller. Hulk Hogan act was bullshit. He gets his ass kicked and shakes like he's having a seizure. Chris knows the rules on here. You want your comment read on here, you either give us money or you shit on Hulk Hogan. That will automatically get your comment read, because Macho Man Randy Savage por vida, my friends. Anyways, let's I know, Alyssa, do you, yeah. I want to make sure, because I know you have a heart out. So is there anything else that you want to touch on before you bounce? I don't want anybody on here to think that you've offended Alyssa and Alyssa just got up and left.
Well, I want to know if she knows any of these wrestling names that you're throwing out, because Alyssa's on the young side.
Are you joking? I know Hulk Hogan. I know Triple H. I know Shawn Michaels.
Damn, with the shots again. What is wrong with you guys? Why do you guys just assume Alyssa doesn't know this shit?
I used to watch WWE, and I used to love it all. I will have to say
all right, Alyssa, you just told on yourself right there, because you called it WWE.
I'm sorry.
Us fogies, we call it WWF. It will always
It wasn't WWF when I was around. It was WWE, but I did watch the old clips of them.
That's perfect. All right, what the floor is yours. We're going to stop interrupting you.
Yes. No, tomorrow I just want to see good baseball. I just want to see that offense jump on them. And also, too, I'm a huge person and believes defense wins games. So I am praying the defense helps out our pitching, no matter who it is on the mound. Like, you just got to have their back. I'm not saying they do it intentionally. I'm just saying we can't have the mental errors. Mental errors kills games. So I think all around the Dodgers, I've been watching film and clips all day. It just looks like they're having fun. So just have fun with baseball. I love fun baseball.
That's awesome. Okay, so I mean, if you got to bounce, don't worry about interrupting us. Look, one of the things that I do want to go ahead and address in that before we start wrapping things up here is this whole image about what happened. And I want to defend myself, because I know people know I was at the game in game 2. And I know a lot of people thought I was in left field, and I was. but I was sitting in the loge because I'm a loger. Okay. I don't sit with the chusma. I'm a higher class, Mexican. So I sit with the logers. Okay. But I was able to see how Profar was egging those guys on. And this is how you know you're a rookie. And I know Profar is not a rookie, but you don't come into Los Angeles and especially start talking shit to the left field pavilion locals. It is just a different breed out there. So they're not going to sit there and take it. So in my loge section, while we were drinking our beers with our pinkies up in the air, they all started chanting. And I wonder if anybody heard this, if it was coming through the TV. They all started chanting, "Quiere llorar" to Profar. It was like, "Quiere llorar, quiere llorar, quiere llorar." They are going to destroy him on Friday. They really are. Like, they're going to hear it from him, and they can go ahead and hey, Carlos, I could be wrong here. The Dodgers may pull what the show pods did and warn their fans, hey, behave and all that stuff. But I think those left field pavilion locals and maybe the all you can eat gordos in right field are going to give Tatis the business too for pulling a Shawn Michaels out there. But I do think the fans are gonna go after these guys.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, left field is yeah, it's a different type of crowd out there. Look, look, I used to love sitting there as a kid. It was different. I remember they had closed it off. So if you entered left field, remember you could
Back
only be in
then,
left
when
field.
you went, Carlos, didn't it look
Yeah.
like a prison because it had the
Oh my gosh. Right. So
chain
you
link
had you were
fence?
you were stuck in there. You couldn't go anywhere. And then years later, they stopped selling beer in left field. They didn't sell any beer in left field. And then 2000, this whole new kind of vibe, and the stadium was open to everybody around the whole stadium, including, and then they made the center field. But yeah, center left field is still different. I don't like personally sitting out there, not because of the crowd, but because the seats kind of are uncomfortable. But and it's a different view. I also like, I like reserve behind the backstop. I like that view. I get to see the whole stadium, and sometimes I'll be down on field level behind the back, to the side, like behind the dugout. So but yeah, left field is definitely a different breed, like you said. It's a different vibe. But yeah, tomorrow gonna be a lot of drunk guys out there, and they're gonna give it to him, and he's gonna, I'm sure they're practicing what chant they're gonna come up with to start, getting
Quiere
under this
llorar,
guy's
quiere
skin
llorar, quiere
for
llorar.
sure. And that's just yeah, I mean that I did. I did. I've been around for a long time. I've been watching the Dodgers since I was like 6 years old. Before yeah, this is a long time ago. But yeah, it's a great atmosphere in left field. It's just not for me sometimes. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's like that moment, like it's like the day before Christmas. It's like, oh shit, I want to go to sleep so I can wake up and unwrap the TV so we can watch this great game. So tomorrow, you know, Juan, I know you're the only one that said Padres in I don't know how many games, but I know a lot of us said, hey, Dodgers in 5. So this is what we expected. We expected Dodgers to come to Dodger Stadium for the deciding game. The only difference is Darvish. He's like the variable in this whole thing. Looking at how he pitched on Sunday, I hope he doesn't come close to that at all. Because if he does, it's going to be a very, very tight game. And if he does pitch like that, the best way to beat him is to get him out of the game. And I know they got Scott, I know they got Suarez, and they got Adam. So no, I get that they're all rested, but still, I'd rather face them than have a Darvish that goes 7 innings and shuts them down completely. We got to make sure we work those counts. I know Lux right now has been hitting a lot of first pitch swings, and it's kind of been working for him, I guess. But we got to work these counts. Muncie's got to work some counts. Smith usually works some counts because he's walked a lot this series. But Betts, we got to work the counts. We got to get this guy 20 pitches first inning, get him like 40, 45 second, get him up to 60, 70 by the third, and hopefully he's out by the fourth. And then it's a bullpen game from there.
Chris is on fire tonight. I love this. You age out of the pavilion eventually. You're absolutely right, Chris. There are no lies detected in that statement. All right. So before we wrap things up, there is one little thing I want to address, and that was Mike Schilt made a comment about gamesmanship. Babyface, do you think that was a dig at Dave Roberts because the Doyers have not announced yet who is starting Game 5?
It seems like this entire series he's kind of been giving these little jabs to Dave Roberts, with what happened with the Machado thing, and then the next day he kind of tries to defend this guy and he kind of throws little jabs at Roberts, and then the Dodgers knew Freeman wasn't going to play yesterday, but they announced that he was in the lineup, and then at the end they revealed a little bit of gamesmanship. And same thing again going today. Like, I'm pretty sure Dodgers know who's starting tomorrow, right? But they're not going to announce it until a couple hours before the game. So, Mike Shield is trying to. I saw another comment today. Is people were saying like he's trying to be like, look at me, I'm a good guy, and your Dodger manager is a jerk, whatever. But I'm a good guy. So I think that has a little bit to do with something with it.
Carlos, do you have problems with the way Roberts has been handling the team in this playoffs? And do you think Schilt was taking a shot at him?
Yeah, I think Schilt did it for one reason. He wants Roberts to show his hand, show his cards, and then this way they can get prepared for whoever's going to pitch. And so Roberts is playing smart, saying, you know what, I'm not going to show my hand. You know what, you want to show your hand? That's fine. Go ahead, do show who's going to start. Show your starting lineup. I don't care. And you know what? I think Roberts, the way he's doing it, not announcing if Freddie's going to play, if Rojas might play, who's going to start the game. That's good. I think it's good. I think it's gamemanship on him. I think it's awesome. I do it that way. Just play it. Keep everything a secret till you have to announce your lineup.
Look, I do find it's very interesting because obviously if the Dodgers win tomorrow, we move on to the next series and Roberts lives another day, so to speak. But that whole, press conference, his reaction to Machado throwing the ball at him, I initially was sitting there thinking to myself, oh, this is embarrassing, man. Why are we making such a big deal about this? And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is Dave Roberts' way of trying to motivate his players. This is Dave Roberts saying, we're getting punked and you guys need to do something about it. So maybe he's going Black Swan in this series to try something different. I know fans were really upset after getting our asses kicked in game 2. I get that. I do think he is trying. It's just he's not going to be Tommy Lasorda, and I think that's his biggest sin, right? Everybody wants him to be Tommy Lasorda, and look, this is just not who this guy is. But I think this is his version of Black Swan, and we will know tomorrow whether it worked or not. Any last words before we wrap things up, guys? I know we're gonna do Danny Duffy, so but Carlos, babyface.
Well, I don't know. Did you see that there was a tweet going around yesterday that showed Yu Darvish on 4 games rest? He has a 6.43 ERA. So I'm hoping that's the Yu Darvish that comes out tomorrow on 4 days rest. And he had 4 games like that this year. So that he came back on 4 and he had a high 6 ERA. And Flaherty, he had 6 games that way and he's a 3.15. So.
All right, but look, babyface, like for me, you and I both know this. All right. I subscribe to the eye test. So I'm going to wait until we see what happens in that first inning. But how many times have we seen pitchers come in that have an ERA in double digits and we think the Dodgers should smoke them and they get shut out? So I'm waiting to see what they look like in that first inning against, Darvish and see what they actually do in the top of the inning. Because if they hold him scoreless, I think it's on, and it's about applying pressure. Who's going to be the team that feels the pressure first? Who caves? Who makes the mistakes? Who is the first make the unforced errors? Carlos the Gambler, do you have any last words before we go to the Danny Duffy Award?
I mean, yeah, a lot. What Roger just said. There's another. It wasn't. It was a stat, but it was where Darvish winner takes all, 0-2 in his career, 0-4 in elimination games. So, historically, yes, when he gets to this point, he doesn't do well. And yes, your point about, because Roger always mentions that the Dodgers don't hit guys who are like high ERAs, but he doesn't kind of fall into that. He's kind of somewhere in the middle. He had a pretty good ERA. So he had like a 3 and 4. I think the Dodgers I think tomorrow the Dodgers will hit him. I think it'll be different. And remember that in the first game they did hit him. The Padres made some good defensive plays. The catch in the outfield, Tatis leaping for that shot from Freeman's bat, Profar robbing the ball in left field. So they did hit well off of him. It's just they couldn't muster like smaller hits to gather runs together. But I think it'll be a different outcome tomorrow. I picked 5 games, and I think tomorrow's game is going to be a really tight game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be like my prediction for tomorrow's game is like 4-2 Dodgers.
I want to address Chris's comment here. I think this is a good one. Which would be the bigger disappointment, the Dodgers losing the series or the Show Pods? I think it's the Show Pods losing the series is the bigger disappointment because, look, going into it, the Dodgers pitching staff was in shambles. They had to throw a bullpen game, and then the Show Pods had a 2-1 lead. And they're a home game. They could close it out with a home game facing a bullpen, a Dodgers bullpen game. I think if the Show Pods lose game 5, it's a bigger disappointment for them because the Dodgers can always turn to the fact all our pitchers got hurt. All our pitchers got hurt. I mean, being realistic, babyface, did we really expect that the Dodgers, with all the injuries to their starting pitching, would win the World Series?
I mean, you have to take all that in consideration. You're like, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to win it all. But I still think Dodgers, even through everything, they're still considered the favorite, right? So I kind of see it. Yeah, if they lose this year, I think it's going to be a disappointment, right? Because they got Shohei, right? People are going to remember all that. They signed Shohei. They brought in Yamamoto. They brought in Hernandez, right? They did all these additions, and they're the favorite. And people really aren't thinking about like, oh, well, they had all these injuries to the pitching staff, whatever. So I think that, for people, it's going to be like, you see, they failed again. They didn't get out of the first round again. The Padres, yeah, they had their chances, but they're still kind of like that up and coming team. I think it's going to be a disappointment, obviously, to Padres fans and all the national media that picked them. But I think in general it'd be more of a disappointment if the Dodgers don't make it.
Yeah, and to Chris's point, yeah, 22 out of 27 ESPN experts were saying that the Padres are going to beat the Dodgers. Yesterday, before the game started, you had everybody but D-Train pick the Padres to beat the Dodgers. So look,
because he knows where his checks come from.
Exactly, he does. But we've been saying this the whole time. We've been doing it since I've joined you guys. We've been saying this. The Dodgers, the way they win is their pitchers go 4 or 5 innings, and the bullpen does the rest of the work. It's been like that all season long. And so that's why I'm saying nothing's changed. The only difference right now is if Darvish can silence the Dodgers bat again like he did Sunday. That's it. But the bullpen's going to be there. They might give up a run or two this time because, yeah, they pitched 2 days ago. They're fresh kind of off seeing them. But it's really about how many runs the Dodgers can score tomorrow. If they score 4 or more, I just don't see the Padres beating the Dodgers.
I hope you're right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and end things with the Danny Duffy Award. For any new people who are watching the show and are not familiar with the Danny Duffy Award, the Danny Duffy Award is given to the person who catches the most unsuspecting strays of the night. It is totally, it's not of merit. It's just whether the person who just gets beat up on this episode the most. So put in your nominations here. Dennis is already putting in Miguel Rojas. Miguel Rojas was nominated for the Danny Duffy Award. I'm going to throw a nominee out there for the Danny Duffy Award. Unfortunately, she's not on anymore. I thought Alyssa caught a lot of unwarranted strays from you guys today. So I'm nominating Alyssa for the Danny Duffy Award because she showed us to think that we don't know that she doesn't know wrestlers. What was the other thing that she wouldn't get the reference from the Water Boy? Damn, Carlos, she was mad. She was like, what do you mean I don't know the Water Boy? I mean, at least that was in the same century that I was born in, or something like that. So I'm gonna nominate Alyssa for the Danny Duffy Award. Guys, we're going to wrap things up. So get these nominations in now. I'm going to give you guys about 50 more seconds. Do either Babyface, do you or Carlos have any nominees for the Danny Duffy Award?
Yeah, I'm gonna put in Alyssa too. I think Carlos, show some respect, Carlos.
All right, so we got So Rojas comes in, so we got a tie. It's neck and neck, folks. It's a Miguel Rojas versus Alyssa. So we got 25 more seconds. Let's see what the deciding vote is. Carlos, are you gonna wait just to get it like inside at the last minute here? All right, 15 seconds, guys. Okay, Miguel Rojas just took the lead with his Bad Bunny hair.
I'll do Alyssa too.
So now you're going with Alyssa. So now we're tied.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get one more vote in here. We got a 3-3 tie. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Diana, you got the winning vote in. Congratulations to Miguel Rojas and his Bad Bunny hair. You are the winner of the Danny Duffy Award, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank you guys all for joining the live. We love when you guys are on here, and we love all your comments and engaging. So for those of you who are new to us, they're not aware, it's the Bleed Lows podcast, but we also have Dodgers Beat. So the Bleed Lows podcast, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Not only do we do the shows,
and if you've been seeing those little pop-ups right there, so it's Q key PR, they just subscribed to our YouTube channel. So
I have not been seeing these pop-ups, but thank you.
Oh, you haven't? You guys don't see them, or only I see them?
Only
Did you see them, Carlos?
Oh.
I mean,
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well,
I don't know what you're smoking, but hey, pass it along, man. I mean,
kind of like a Field of Dreams. You guys don't see the players?
I want to see the pink elephants too.
You guys don't see them?
Come on.
Well, okay. Well, I get these notifications that pop up every time somebody subscribes. So thank you for subscribing, and welcome.
Yeah, so not only, like I said, we got the Bleed Lows podcast on their YouTube channel, but we also do pregame and postgame. We got interviews from the players, so there's a whole bunch of stuff on the YouTube channel that you guys can go ahead and check out. Dodgers.
Do you see the penguin?
The
You see the
penguin?
penguin?
What are you doing that to me now? Now I'm freaking out. It's my happening, man, and I'm freaking out. And so, but the Dodgers Beat is the Dodgers Beat's the thing that started everything. So we have a lot of writers. Alyssa writes. Does she write on Dodgers Beat, or is she just more of your social media person?
She's been doing both.
Okay. So, of course, Canelo, who's not here because Canelo is actually a man of family. He's taking care of his sick wife and kids. So other than that, he'd probably be on here telling us we're all wrong. But Stephen Webb, we got a whole bunch of writers on Dodgers Beat. So go ahead and check them out. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. Nos vemos, everybody. Get ready for tomorrow.